Hi FSC family, welcome back to our channel. My name is Valerie Babchuk and I'm the PR specialist for Family Source Consultants. Today we're going to be doing a quick Q&A with TeamFSC egg donor V, number 234. V has been an egg donor with Family Source Consultants 6 times. Stay tuned as V takes us on a beautiful journey of what it's like to be an egg donor. What first led you to become an egg donor?
So I first became interested in becoming an egg donor after a family friend of mine had done a donation, and they had talked about just how rewarding it was, and how surprised they were by the whole process. And after it sort of led me down this road of thinking about one of my aunts a few years ago, probably close to like a decade now. She had they had been trying to conceive and have a child for years and years and years, and it was a really frustrating process for them. It was very emotionally difficult, and they ended up adopting this amazing little boy, my nephew Dylan. But all I could help, I mean, the adoption process took like years and years, though, of everyone in the family writing affidavits, to just say like what great parents they would be. Um, but it made me think that if, this process had maybe been open to them as an option. I'm not even sure if it was around back in. I'm from the East Coast, on the East Coast at the time. But if it had been more of an option to them, if they would have gone down this route, and it would have been perhaps a better option for them, and something that was um, something that was geared a little bit towards what they needed more, and they wouldn't be going through such like emotional struggle. um, and I mean, Dylan's amazing, like, don't get me wrong, but the struggle of them getting there was just watching it was heartbreaking.
It's great nowadays that people have the option to adopt or build their family through third-party reproduction. And it's so inspiring that you found the silver lining in your aunt and uncle's situation by becoming an egg donor. May I add 6 times, which is awesome,
Yeah.
to help deserving couples and individuals start or add to their family. So that's just awesome. Did you have any hesitations about it, and how did you overcome those hesitations?
Honestly, the only hesitations I think that I had personally were about the injections. I had never given myself an injection before. And I was a little bit, I mean, I'm not petrified of needles or anything, but like whenever I do get like a shot at the doctor's office, I do kind of like look the other way.
Uh-huh.
So, I mean, that was the only part where I was like, okay, how am I going to do daily injections of like these hormones, these medications that you need to, stimulate the eggs. Like, how am I going to do this every day? But I mean, I'm lucky that my husband's a pharmacist, so he was sort of able to talk me through certain things and like help me out, and it turned out to be a lot simpler than I thought. I mean, the needle that you use to do the hormone injections is so tiny. It's like I guess it's like an insulin needle. So you almost barely even feel it half the time. So yeah, I think that was my biggest hesitation going into it. I know a lot of people have asked me like, oh, but like these would be technically your biological offspring, and I guess the only response I would have to that is that I mean, my stepfather raised me, and he was incredible. And so to me, it was always more nurture versus nature in terms of like who your parents truly are. And just because you maybe necessarily share DNA or genes with someone doesn't mean that like in your heart they're your mother or they're your father. It's at least for me, it was who raised me, and who like gave me all that love growing up.
Absolutely. I hear that a lot too. I feel like the most common shared thought amongst egg donors is their fear of injections. And I'm pleased to hear that most all would say that their anticipation of the injection is actually way worse than the injection themselves. My next question I have is, so you've completed 6 donations with Family Source Consultants. Can you share with me how your experience was, kind of start to finish?
Sure. So, start to finish, the getting sort of the intro process with Family Source Consultants was relatively relatively detailed. I mean, for obvious reasons. You know, I actually found out a lot about my family that I hadn't known before, in terms of like having to ask my mom about like certain details about my grandparents and stuff. So that was kind of cool. But I mean, for obvious reasons, they want to know like all your as much genetic information, you know, as you can, in terms of like your paternal grandparents and maternal grandparents and your mother and father. But throughout the whole process, they were so much more friendly, I guess, than I was sort of expecting. I was almost expecting it to be sort of this like very professional interaction, but it was almost like emailing with a friend. It was such a pleasant surprise. You know, almost making friends with some of these girls. Actually, one of them, Jessica, I think it was my third or fourth donation, and I couldn't get anyone to come out with me. And she actually like took the day off. My retrieval ended up being on a Saturday, and she came up and like picked me up after the retrieval, and like drove me back to my hotel and made sure I had snacks and everything. So I mean, everyone there was really like became a little family. But sorry, going back, you know, after I collected all the information and sent it in, they had me come out to Chicago, to their location, to sort of do like a physical appointment with one of their doctors there, just to, you know, check me out physically, make sure, you know, everything was all right, everything was as it should be for a donor. Got to hang out in Chicago for a little bit, and then flew back. And after that, I didn't hear from them for a little while until my first donation. And as soon as they had me matched with someone, it was very, very detailed in terms of making sure they covered like all the grounds necessary. You know, they asked me what kind of donation I wanted, if I wanted it to be open or anonymous, you know, if I was willing to travel. We set up an email so I could communicate with the intended father, or father now, actually. His little boy is, gosh, I want to say 3 years old this
That's
past
amazing.
February. So, and it was really exciting. Yeah, so set up an email. I spoke with you know, they give you an attorney to sort of go over like a whole contract, over every single little tiny detail you can imagine, and just make you feel very comfortable throughout the whole process. Because it seems almost intimidating when you get this big like legal document from a lawyer. But I mean, she just stayed on the phone with me for almost an hour, and just, you know, in layman's terms, covered every single aspect of like, okay, well, this is what, you know, this legal jargon means, and this is what this legal jargon means. And with every stipulation that was in the contract, there was always a part that she added that if for some reason I changed my mind about something, that would be okay. You know, that wasn't like an end all break all. Like if I decided, you know, I would be open to the child reaching out to me as opposed to not being open before, that was something that I could talk to them about. You know, it wasn't like just a black and white, like once you make this decision, you can't go back type of a deal, which was really reassuring to me, because, you know, obviously people change. But it made me feel very comfortable, and it made me feel reassured, especially for the part of the intended parents, that you know, it seems like all of their emotional needs and concerns were being met, just because the emotional burden is really on them throughout the whole process. I can only imagine from their perspective, you know, how overwhelming of a process this can be. And so, you know, after we got all that, the legal part out of the way, we I went to go see a fertility specialist in my area where I was, because I'm out of state, just to do some preliminary tests. They do blood work, and they make sure that I believe your uterine wall lining is like a certain it is a certain measurement. And so I met with them, and they answered whatever questions I had. And after that, we did I'm not sure after or before that, they did the testing to see like if I had any genetic mutations versus the intended parents, any reproductive cells that they would be using to see if they had any genetic mutations, like recessive ones, that could possibly be passed on to the child. And once that's clear, um, you get you get mailed this box with like all the um, all the medications, all of the injections, like pamphlets describing what each medication is. They have a nurse call you to like make sure you get everything that you're supposed to be getting, and they go through with you how to do the injections. Yeah, and then you basically start to begin the process.
That's just so heartwarming to hear, especially how supportive Team FSC is. Our staff is just incredible. They're the most kindest, compassionate, just
Yeah.
helping people in general. And so I think that's so great that you've found us too to help you on your journey. And I'm so happy everything went smoothly overall. And if for some reason there are unexpected bumps in the road, FSC coordinates health insurance and life insurance policies for you. And these policies will ensure that you are covered if you experience any medical problems due to the egg donation procedure. But I'm glad that everything's all good on your end and all the donations were successful. So that's just fantastic. The next question I have for you is, what made you decide to be closed, semi-open, or open with your intended parents?
So I've actually been all three of those variations. And my choice for doing that was, I do think that the weight of that decision should, for the most part, come from the intended parents, because they're building a family, and they're growing their family, and this is such a huge and heavy decision for them that, outside of what some small thoughts I might have, it felt to me like that should primarily be their decision. So I made the decisions sort of based on like each situation, and not just having like this is the one choice that I'm going to make for all, because every donation I did was different. Two donations ago, I actually did a completely open donation, and I'm still in contact with the parents, and they text me pictures of, they ended up having twins. They text me pictures of the twins, and it's so unbelievably heartwarming, and it makes me like so happy and honored to be a part of that, and to have them share that with me. But at the same time, I can understand if someone would want a greater level of privacy in terms of, this is a very intimate moment for them, that they are growing their family, and that maybe it's something that their family might not be as supportive as other families are. And so for me, that just felt, barring some huge extenuating circumstances, that was a choice I wanted the intended parents to be able to make, and to be comfortable with. And I didn't want them to feel like that they had to compromise something, a comfort level, because of necessarily a box that I checked on a form.
That's amazing to hear that each donation route you took was personalized to your wants and needs, and most importantly, led to success and happiness. Because, like you said, every donation is different. There's a different story behind the donor and the intended parents, and we want to do the best we can to make that perfect match. And so, thank you for sharing on that. Do you have any advice for women who are interested in becoming egg donors?
Yes. So I have sort of Couple levels of advice. First one is bring leggings, especially for leggings and flowy tops, and especially for the end of your donation cycle when you get pretty bloated. And it can get a little uncomfortable if you just bring a bunch of high-waisted jeans because you want to look cute. But trust me, it's much more comfortable if you have some like stretchy leggings and like a flowy top, so you don't feel like you're sucking in your stomach because you feel so puffy. But yeah, trust me, flowy tops and leggings make it so much more comfortable. But also, I would say allow yourself to keep an open mind throughout the process. Every family is different. I think when a lot of people think of the idea of a family, they have this like one image that pops into their head. But I mean, like I was saying, every donation cycle I did, and for every either intended parents or intended parent, it was a different situation. And families, they come in all sorts of different shapes, sizes, and colors. And all that really matters, I think, at the end of the day is the overwhelming amount of love and support that they're going to give that child. And I think just remembering that it's going to be a different process. Like each donation you do is going to be so much different than the one before, and so much different than the next one, because people are different. And that doesn't take away from the love and the family that they're going to build with this child.
That's so beautiful to hear. Well, I want to thank you so much for sharing your insights, guidance, and advice regarding egg donation. I hope this Q&A inspires other eligible women to help a deserving couple or individual build their family through egg donation. Donating your eggs is a beautiful, rewarding, and impacting journey. To learn more about becoming an egg donor to a deserving couple or individual, click the link below, fill out the application, and one of our egg donor specialists will reach out to you shortly. Bye!